a medic bag!
The Payday franchise is one that I'm very experienced with, and one that I've covered on this channel not too long ago. I've put hundreds of hours into Payday 2, which may seem like a small amount compared to some people who've wasted thousands of hours in that game, and to those people I ask, why? But aside from that, I've been a huge fan of the series ever since I began playing the sequel around the start of its life cycle. And in its current state, I would rate Payday 2 as one of the best co-op horde shooters on the market. It's cheap, it's got an overwhelming amount of content, and it's endlessly replayable, especially with friends. But hey, I've already covered the first 2 Payday games on this channel, so what about the third game in the series, Payday 3? Swing and a miss. Aside from the rough launch, which seems to be a trend nowadays with modern gaming, that or Starbreeze still hasn't gotten their shit together, is Payday 3 really all it's chalked up to be with the oceans of hype it's gotten and admittedly pretty cool PR events? My name's Heiko, and today I'm giving my honest 2 cents on Payday 3 as a longtime fan of the franchise, seeing whether or not the game is worth the $40 asking price and the less than stellar Steam reviews. Listen, I know you probably know what Payday is, and you probably don't want to hear me go on a 15-minute long spiel about how some guys in Sweden were inspired by a Michael Mann film to create a horde shooter based around robbing banks, gangs, and the feds. You just want to hear about Payday 3, so let's cut to the chase. Literally.
Listen up, motherfuckers! This is a robbery!
You know, Payday 3 probably wouldn't have had such a problematic launch if Starbreeze's publisher Deep Silver had actually powered their servers with literally anything more powerful than that year's harvest. But then again, have we learned nothing? Well, I didn't get to experience the catastrophic quality of the servers in the first week of the game's launch, because I wanted to review a game I could consistently play with stability and not waste my time. That unfortunately still ended up happening, just to a lesser degree. Even after the servers had been fixed, the matchmaking feels like I'm playing a game with 5 people playing and not 5,000 players on PC alone, not to mention crossplay. And on that topic, between the shoddy servers, needing to make another goddamn account for some bullshit, and everything else wrong with the game, it seems people have already jumped ship back to Payday 2, considering Payday 3 has dropped almost 50,000 players under its all-time peak on PC alone. While on the other hand, Payday 2 is regularly pulling in tens of thousands more players than its sequel, which if that isn't setting off alarms over at Starbreeze, I don't know what will. Okay, scratch that. Payday 2 had a decent system for online multiplayer, with a sort of weird hybrid of a matchmaking system and a server browser, but with enough filters you could find exactly what you were looking for. Payday 3's system just straight up blows ass and is one of the worst displays of a matchmaking system in gaming. There are 0 quality of life options or filters to help you find the kind of lobby you want to find. It's all just random guessing. I'll circle back to this topic later, but let's move on to the main part of Payday 3 that everyone cares about. Is the gameplay more fun than Payday 2? No.
I'm about to shoot that fucking drill!
I'm sorry to say it, but try as it might, Payday 3 just can't live up to its predecessor. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but it just isn't as consistently fun, nor does it contain the immense gameplay depth with the low skill floor that Payday 2 has. Payday 3 is the first game in the franchise that doesn't run on the infamously dreaded Diesel engine, which was a modified racing game engine used for multiple games, including Payday the Heist and Payday 2, and it was notorious for being utter shit. This time around though, the Payday series has jumped ship to Unreal Engine 4, which admittedly is heaps better than the Diesel engine. Along with this new engine, Payday 3 comes with a brand new movement system, which was intended to be more realistic than the cartoonishly arcadey one in Payday 2. And did they succeed? No. With an introduction of sliding, vaulting, and a base movement speed just as fast as Payday 2's, this makes Dallas and the gang a bunch of 40-year-olds who are more agile than Yami or Yager. Then again, it feels good. I feel like Payday is just a game that's meant to be fast. Aside from a few weird clunky bits, the movement system is an overall upgrade from Payday 2's. What isn't an upgrade from Payday 2 is the cop AI. For as much as they talked up the AI in this game to be so much smarter than the practically zombie-like hordes of Payday 2, Payday 3's cops are just as brain dead as the prior title. Although the new special types of cops like the Grenadier and updated Cloaker and Bulldozer are a nice addition. The gunplay in Payday 3 definitely feels better and more responsive than Payday 2, but I feel like Payday 2's gunplay was more fun. While the guns feel more weighty, especially in the reload animations, it just isn't as varied as the more chaotic feeling weapons of the prior game. But that's all subjective in the end. What isn't subjective is the fact that the guns in Payday 3 don't have recoil patterns. Instead, they have a bloom system. This means that instead of having a controllable recoil, the longer you hold down the trigger, the further your bullets randomly spread out. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. I'll talk specifics about the heists themselves later in the video, but they bring along some new mechanics, including the ever-thrilling standing in a circle. You're also able to trade hostages for more time during negotiations and for more resources, as well as having unlimited cable ties, which is a nice touch. You also have the new unmasked mode, but I'll talk about that in the stealth section of this video. One new thrilling addition to Payday 3 is that the game is always online for literally no reason. And since I've already made my feelings on the servers very clear and we'll talk about public lobbies later in this video, how's the solo experience in Payday 3?
I need a fucking medic bag!
In their infinite Swedish wisdom, the devs decided to remove solo play for Payday 3. Technically, yes, you can still play the game solo, but you have to select invite only and wait for it to find a match that doesn't exist, and then put you in your own lobby. And even at that, people can still glitch their way into your lobby even if it's private. Now, because there's no more dedicated single player option, you can no longer pause the game because it's always online. So if you have to answer a text or call during a heist, tough shit slugger. And since they didn't really expect people to be playing solo because it's barely an option, the AI bot teammates are just as brain dead as they were in the second game, except now they aren't practically invincible like in Payday 2. So they're basically useless aside from being used to haul loot and occasionally drop supplies. Because the AI is so moronic, trying to do any heist on loud on any difficulty above hard is nigh impossible. Well, at least it is for me, but that's probably just because I have a chronic case of bird brain. With the single player being practically non-existent, you'd think they'd put some time and effort into making the multiplayer a refined system with little to no flaws. Yeah, no. I've already talked about how terrible the matchmaking is, but once you actually get into a lobby, there's no voice chat at all, and text chat isn't accessible until you've loaded into the heist, which means you have no way of communicating with the random people you just loaded in with about what strategy you're gonna run or who's running what loadout. It's all a complete guessing game. And yes, while crossplay is great and all, the public matchmaking is missing so many basic quality of life necessities that it makes the mainstay mode of the game a complete joke. And while private multiplayer exists, it's incredibly annoying to use. Alright, let's get into the one thing that most people know Payday for aside from all of that: stealth.
Time to fix the fucking drill again!
The stealth in Payday 2 was nothing short of laughably unrealistic. Guards were blind, deaf robots with the exception of the small cone of vision in front of them. And honestly, this stealth system is great.
Fuck! God!
Did it make any sense? Oh hell no. But was it fun as fuck? Damn right it was. With the exception of a few issues, Payday 2's stealth system was incredibly fun, and once you had an understanding of it, it made stealthing missions instead of going loud a viable and practical option, especially since you got bonuses for completing a heist completely quiet. So for Payday 3, they took a look at the stealth system in Payday 2 and said, you know, this is great. Let's do none of that.
What the fuck? What the fuck is this?
Let's start off with the big issue with stealth in Payday 3. It's useless. If you can complete a heist on loud or quiet, there's practically no reason to go quiet. Most heists can be beat loud on at least hard with little to no challenge, with the exception of some heists that are stealth only or stealth encouraged. But the few heists that offer both loud and quiet are pointless done quietly because they offer no bonuses. You don't get anything extra for stealthing a heist in most cases. The only reason you stealth a heist like No Rest for the Wicked is because you felt like it. It takes more time, more effort, more planning, and more stress for the exact same payoff as going loud. And this sucks because the stealth mechanics are an overall improvement from Payday 2. You now have unmasked mode where you can do certain actions without getting spotted. Public, private, and secure areas offer different strategies, since if you're unmasked, only guards and cameras will spot you in private areas and not civilians. You can now manually move civilians with the body shield mechanic. You can now pickpocket keycards from guards to avoid wasting a pager call. No, I don't care that they're called radios now, they're still pagers to me. And on the topic of pagers, you can answer them while carrying a guard's body because 45 ACP makes them very eepy. You can now place down microcams to keep track of areas on the map. You can now lure guards to your position with noise, which honestly is a really finicky mechanic, and I would have much preferred a system where you make a noise or throw a coin or something, but whatever. With the exception of a few more features I haven't mentioned, Payday 3's stealth system is a big upgrade from Payday 2's. The only problem is, there's no point in stealthing in this game, and that sucks. I hope later on they add more incentive to stealth heists like XP or cash bonuses, because right now there's no point in not just going apeshit loud.
Bloody hell, that's a day's wage, isn't it?
Speaking of new shit, let's talk about the updated skill system. And by updated, I mean gutted. In Payday 2, you had a separate skill tree and perk deck system, allowing for players to experiment with different combinations of skills and perks. And for some experienced players, they can create the most batshit crazy builds that nearly broke the game in some instances. In Payday 3, they axed the skill tree and severely neutered the perk decks. Now, instead of creating unique playstyles that set each other apart from one another and play completely differently, the perks are only really slight boosts that favor a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none kind of playstyle. Gone are the days of dodge builds, crit builds, and tanks. Now all we really have are loud and stealth builds with a little bit of wiggle room in between, but no truly unique playstyles. I'm hoping more perk decks get added later on with free updates because right now there's not much room for creativity within building your loadout. Which brings me to my next point. Where'd all the customization go? Hey, real quick, I definitely didn't get bronchitis in between recording sessions for this video, and I definitely wasn't without a voice for like a week and a half, and I definitely am still not recovering from its effects. Anyways, Payday is a franchise known for its customization, whether it be cursed guns or actually trying to look good. Payday 2 has some of the best customization in gaming and allows players a practically unlimited outlet for creativity, for better or for worse. Payday 3 has none of that. There are more gloves than there are guns in this game, and with the shit progression system, it takes forever to unlock all the suits and gloves. There is a shocking lack of guns compared to even what Payday 2 launched with. And those guns come with a frankly disappointing lack of customization. You know what Payday is really known for though? Masks.
Oh my god.
I'm in Minecraft.
I mean, come on, what's more recognizable than the classic Dallas American flag mask? And with the ocean of masks in Payday 2, you'd think they'd put a ton of masks in the game. 36. There's 36 masks in Payday 3. There's over 400 in Payday 2. The lack of masks and guns and just everything in this game is more than disappointing, it's almost insulting. We waited a decade for this game just to be given the equivalent of 2 Kit Kats and an IOU. You can't just put out a half-baked game and say you're in it for the long run. People paid $40 for this game when they could have bought 2 copies of the Legacy Edition of Payday 2. I don't want to be told that, oh yeah, content's coming when you give me a shallow excuse of a game. Speaking of lack of content, you want to know how many heists there are in Payday 3? 8. There are 8. There were 12 heists in Payday 2 on launch, and now there's over 70. And we get 8. And these heists aren't quality over quantity, they're just like the ones in Payday 2. You can say that you want players to keep coming back to new content over the lifespan of this game, but you have to keep players engaged throughout the first few weeks of the game's launch with a good core arsenal of content. Not whatever the fuck this is. And to add on top of that, there's no legacy heist brought over from Payday 2 or Payday the Heist. It would have been nice if they added at least 2 or 3 heists from the previous game to help fluff up the amount of content available, but no, fuck us, I guess.
All aboard the pain train!
Alright, how about I talk about something a little bit more positive in this game for once. Everyone knows Payday music. Whether you've played Payday 2 or not, you've probably heard the work of Simon Viklund. But seeing as he dipped from Starbreeze Overkill right as shit hit the fan, he wasn't around to work on the music for Payday 3. So for Payday 3, they brought in Gustavo Coutinho, who's done some work for the Payday franchise as recently as Payday 2 after Simon Viklund left. Listen, nothing will ever top Viklund's work. The dude is a legend. But Coutinho did a pretty damn good job with Payday 3. Aside from a few tracks that get pretty old pretty quick, like the main menu track that I hate so much, Coutinho hit the nail on the head with that Payday style of music, blending it seamlessly into the atmosphere of the game. Each song is specific to its own heist and theming. For example, Road Rage is a loud-only heist where you rob an armored transport car on a rainy bridge under construction. So fittingly, the music is a fast-paced, gritty-sounding track with a blend of electronic drums and bass, loud industrial percussions, low rumbling synths, and distorted drop-tune guitars. It feels like if the Doom soundtrack and Payday soundtrack mixed. And every track in this game follows that formula of being directly inspired by the setting that the heist takes place in. Honestly, if there's one good takeaway from this game, it's that the music absolutely slaps. What's not a good takeaway is, yes, I'm going back to the negative, the fucking menus. I have never in my life had to navigate through such infuriating menu UI. Things just don't make any sense and are organized terribly. Like if you're trying to buy weapons and masks and all that stuff from your inventory, it sends you to a completely different tab on the menu of which you can't just hit escape to back out of and go back to your inventory. You have to click through 2 or 3 menus to get back to where you were. Oh my fucking god, I hate the menus in this game so much. And like, look at the lobby menus. What? How? Why? On the contrary, the in-game UI during heists is pretty good. The only issues I have with it is that you can't see how much money you've made or how many civs you've tied up. But overall, the UI and menus look extremely generic and reek of modern AAA first-person shooter with absolutely none of the function that comes with those menus that barely function in the first place. Listen, I really wanted Payday 3 to be good. I was expecting it to be good. I thought that by now the Swedes over at Starbreeze would have learned their damn lesson, but nope. It's just abysmal how sorry of a state this game was launched in. From the servers to the lack of content, it's like nobody in the studio stood up and said, hey, we should probably delay this again. But then again, this game was published by Deep Silver, so they probably pressured Starbreeze into getting this game ready for the fall release window. At this point, I'd much rather just go back and play Payday 2 more. And that's usually not a good sign for a sequel when consumers would much rather play the previous game instead of the new one. In my honest opinion, Payday 3 has a good foundation of gameplay, but lacks enough content to keep people coming back. Save your money and wait for more shit to get added, grab it on sale or get it on Game Pass, because even at the reduced price of $40, that's still asking too much in its current state. Oh fuck, I just knocked over everything.